If I could go back in time and give myself advice, it would be what I'm about to share with you in this video. I really only started to categorize myself as an introvert for a few years now. Before that, I didn't really know what one was. I mean, I did, but I never spent as much time analyzing it as I do now. Going to work, to school, running errands, networking, attending parties, all of these require us to be outgoing, to be very social, to be loud, to be impressive. Those things don't come easy for introverts. See, I mentioned I never really knew what an introvert was. And it was honestly because growing up, I felt so alone. I didn't really feel like anyone understood what I was going through, understood my thoughts. And I know by putting ourselves in boxes, it often holds us back in one way or another. And I do believe that's true. But by understanding the world of introverts, I was able to not feel alone. I was able to discover there were so many people out there just like me, having those same thoughts, making those same mistakes. The truth is, I really just didn't understand what my strengths were. I didn't understand how I worked best. And so in today's video, I want to share with you the 3 things that every introvert must know. Now, before we get into video, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Bridget. On this channel, yep, I talk a lot about introverts. I also talk about social anxiety and general anxiety. So make sure you go check out some of my other videos as well. So with that being said, let's get into video. Lesson number 1, forming deeper connections. Now, you may or may not have gotten to this place in your life if you're an introvert, where you have found it to be easier to form deeper connections with people than a lot of connections with a bunch of people. In my opinion, it's so much better to have 1 or 2 very close friendships than to have 100 acquaintances. I don't have a lot of friends, and I've reached a point in my life where I'm okay with that. I know a lot of extroverts in my life who have a ton of friends, but a lot of them will tell me that they don't really know their friends. Now, us introverts have that ability to form deep connections because we have the ability to listen, to understand, to reflect and think critically when giving someone advice. We would rather have an hour-long deep conversation with someone than 5 to 10 20-minute conversations with someone. Lesson number 2, understanding that we must challenge ourselves outside of the norms of society. Now let me explain. A lot of introverts will tell you that networking, whether it's at work, at school, at any kind of a social event, is impossible. They can't go through it without feeling like they want to die. And I've been there, 100%. Now, if you click on the video right here, I will go into this in a lot more detail. When I'm at a social gathering, it's very hard for me to start speaking unless I'm extremely comfortable, whether it's with the people or just in the environment itself. It takes a long time for me to get adjusted. And if you're an introvert, you can probably relate to that. The thing about networking is that it's different for introverts and extroverts. For extroverts, sometimes it's a lot easier. They're louder. They think faster. They say more. If we're an introvert, we're a little bit more quieter. We don't always have a lot to say, right? So when it comes to networking, it's important that we say the right thing. You don't have to say a lot to get your message across. We can say more with less. So something that has always worked for me, regardless of the environment or the situation, is being able to realize when I'm talking to the right person or not. If I'm not talking to the right person, if I don't connect with them instantly, I move on. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You excuse yourself and you go somewhere else. You go to the bathroom, you grab a drink, you do whatever you need to do to recuperate. And then you try again. When you hit it off with the right person, that's when you can get your message across. You know, sometimes you don't always know, but introducing a topic that interests you, something that you're passionate about, and you will be able to tell right away if that person is interested. So when I'm networking, whether it's for work or whether it's just for the social aspect, I'm going to be spending that time talking to maybe one person or talking to a couple people, but I'm going to be spending that time probably diving deep into one particular topic. A great example of this, a few months ago, my husband and I went to a networking event. It was with a couple of his friends. So I showed up having absolutely no idea what it was going to be like. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. I didn't know what they were going to be dressed like. And I knew, of course, that I wasn't going to know anybody. There was a decent amount of people that he knew and that I've met once or twice. But needless to say, I was scared. And so I walked into the event with a clear mindset, a clear headspace, and I went into it thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, I don't know who I'm going to meet, but but I'm just gonna talk and we'll see where it goes. And what ended up happening was that my husband was going around to a few different people, all the people he knew, some people he didn't know. So I spent my time talking to probably just a handful of people the entire night. You know, I said hi to the people that I knew, people that I had to talk to, right? But when I tell you that majority of the time I spent talking to just one or two people, having really great conversations and forming deep connections, and actually still talking to these people to this day, I still have a relationship with them. And that's the thing that you can harness. We can form deep connections. We can network just as well as extroverts can. We just have to understand how it works for us. And if you can identify your strengths in a crowded room, then you're golden. Lesson number 3, acceptance. Owning our quiet nature instead of running from it. This is something I did for the majority of my life, pretty much. I hated growing up quiet. I hated that most of my friends were loud and outgoing and very friendly and just impressive people to be around. And I somehow surrounded myself with extroverts my whole life. So I spent the majority of it comparing myself to those types of people. It was frustrating to be around them sometimes. And it wasn't until recently, when I really started analyzing what an introvert was, that I started to accept that quiet nature. I've talked about this in other videos, how even though when I surround myself with a lot of extroverts, I've also made sure that I surrounded myself with a lot of introverts. And the people that I choose to surround myself with know that I'm quiet. They know that meeting new people sometimes makes me nervous. They know that I won't always have a lot to say right off the bat, that it takes a while for me to adjust to different environments, to different social settings. And the thing is, the more I learn about introverts and the more I learn about my quiet nature, the more I see how powerful it is. I know I'm quiet, but I also know that I have a lot of qualities because of my quietness that extroverts don't have. I know that I'm a really great listener. I know that I can think critically, that I can be that friend for someone, that I can get creative. And the thing about quiet people is that it's often magnetic in a way. It creates this mystery about this person, this intrigue about this person. And that's what I emphasize when I'm in a conversation with people, when I'm meeting new people, when I'm with friends. I let myself use that as like a superpower. And at the end of the day, it's really just what we choose to focus on. If we choose to focus on the fact that quietness is bad and then it makes us awkward or weird or shy, that's what we're going to emulate. That's who we're going to be. But instead, if we focus on the quietness as, this mystery, as this intrigue, as this respectability and magnetism, that's what we're going to emulate. So it's really just about where you choose to put your focus, accepting your quiet nature as something that is a good quality rather than a bad one. I love that I'm quiet, and you should too. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found it useful, as always, and I will see you next time.